Good afternoon, Chair Fallendrop, members Garrett, Holmes, staff, and guests. The lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first executive management team meeting of 2026. Happy New Year to everyone. We'll go ahead and start our meeting. We do have an executive session today, but before we jump into the executive session, we're going to do one agenda item, which is approval of some meeting minutes. I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes as listed on the agenda today.
If I recall, were those the ones from when I've been off and Pete needs to do the motion?
That's right, Member Garrett. So thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Yes, I move that we approve the minutes that are on the agenda.
Thank you, Member Holmes, and I concur, so those meeting minutes are approved. Okay, so now we're going to enter into our executive session to discuss legal counsel matters relating to litigation or potential litigation to which the agency is or is likely to become party. I anticipate the executive session will conclude at 2 p.m. So if you are dropped or you drop from the Teams executive session, please rejoin the Teams meeting and then look for the button at the top left of your screen that says join the room, and you will be reconnected.
only was left Monday and it just came empty.
They did send out a
I
message.
saw something on Verizon, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been talking on the phone, so I'm like. Yeah, it was like. And I was, hey,
Oh,
yeah, phone was on my desk. Suppose.
You want all this stuff? All right, we'll do this. I can go around you about that.
Happy New Year, everyone. Hey, you're good. That's it.
Well, welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and resume our executive management team for Wednesday, January 14th, now that we're done with our executive session. So before we get started with our first agenda item, although I don't see our folks here who are going to do our first agenda item, but in the meantime, oh, they're virtual. Okay, thank you. In the meantime, I want to acknowledge that we've got lots of people around the table today. And so I'm thrilled that we have changed up our executive management team structure just a little bit. This falls on the heels of our discussions last year around efficiencies. And if you recall, we had discussions during that time about potentially having just one board member attend these meetings. We received a lot of feedback about that and decided, no, we'll keep it with all three board members attending, but we will look at the structure of the meeting and potentially change it. And that's largely because board members meet with directors throughout the month, and oftentimes the updates that we hear are things that we've discussed in our one-on-one. And so we thought this would be a great opportunity to dig a little bit deeper into different sections of the LCB. I also had Gretchen do a little bit of research on the agendas going back multiple chairs of the LCB so I could see historically what these meetings look like. And we're actually going back to a structure that we have previously done in these particular meetings. And so board member Garrett has mentioned that multiple times that they used to look similar to what we're doing today. So I'm really excited to have this team here today and opportunity to have you showcase some of the work you're doing and giving board members opportunity to ask questions. Additionally, we've expanded participation in this meeting. So I'm thrilled to have folks from both HR and finance here today. And HR and and we will eventually have IT here as well. So when we get fully staffed up, we'll actually have our entire leadership team participate in these meetings, which I think is appropriate. So, Will, did you want to add anything to any of those comments?
Nothing more than you've already spoken. Thank you.
All right. Well, with that, we will jump right into our agenda and we will go to our first item, which is cannabis payment flexibility rule evaluation. So we've got Nick, Kendra, and Daniel here to take that item. So I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see that all right?
Yep, we can see it, Nick.
Great. Well, thank you all for having me here this afternoon. I'm here to give just a really brief presentation on an evaluation that we conducted on the cannabis payment flexibility rule. So this rule went into effect in October of 2024. This was a rule change that made it so that when checks are used as payment for cannabis, they must be sent, mailed, or delivered no more than one business day following cannabis delivery. And once received, they must be deposited as soon as reasonably practical and no later than 5 business days after delivery. This rule was really intended to make rules around paying with checks more consistent with rules for other payment methods. But during stakeholder engagement, there were some concerns raised by industry members about the impact that this would have on businesses and whether there would be an increase in enforcement actions. So at that time, a 1-year evaluation was planned, and I'm here today to just report on that evaluation that we've conducted looking back over the past couple of years. So the research program undertook this rule evaluation by examining events that are recorded in the Enforcement and Education's electronic notebook that were related to buying cannabis on credit using checks between November 2023, which is 1 year before the rule was adopted, and October 2025, 1 year after rule adoption, so that we could compare the year before and the year after this rule took effect. We included violations and written warnings that were issued by the Education Enforcement Division, as well as external complaints. So I'm going to show you a graph to just illustrate the rulemaking timeline and written warnings issued over time, because that's what we really saw the most of. Here's the rulemaking timeline. The CR 101 was filed on May 8th, 2024. The 103 on September 25th, and then the rule took effect in October 2024. Here are the number of warnings issued over time, and you'll notice that there were a number of warnings issued in July 2024 and January 2025. But it's important to recognize that each of these instances were really due to a single licensee. These were two cases that generally stemmed from instances where a retailer bought cannabis on credit by receiving cannabis products and writing checks that then either resulted in non-sufficient funds or otherwise delayed distribution of funds that were beyond allowable timeframes. In these cases, the retailer receives a written warning, as does every other licensee that they're doing business with, which is why you're seeing so many at these two time points. So while there were many warnings and it looks pretty dramatic when graphed, the vast majority of the warnings that we see during this evaluation window are really related to two licensees, which doesn't seem to be representative of the industry as a whole. So zooming out a little bit overall, when we're looking at the evaluation window, there was a slight decrease in the number of warnings from 46 the year leading up to rule adoption, and then 29 warnings the year after. Complaints were consistent with one complaint before and one after rule adoption, and there were no violations given during this window. There is one important caveat that I wanted to add to this, though. While I just said that there were no violations given during that specific evaluation period we were looking at, in November 2025, so really just outside of that evaluation window, there were 11 violations issued. And these violations were again related to a single licensee, which was one of those that I mentioned previously received a warning during the evaluation window in July 2024. So this appears to be a case where a licensee received a warning, which primarily serves as a notice of education, and they continue to be out of compliance, which then resulted in them receiving these violations. So in light of these recent violations and the fact that the number of warnings related to cannabis payment flexibility using checks does make up a fairly substantial percentage of the overall number of warnings issued to cannabis licensees during that time frame, we do recommend just a 24-month follow-up. So 1 year from now, just continuing to monitor these trends. But it doesn't appear necessary to make any changes to the rule at this time. Again, this doesn't seem like it's really reflective of the cannabis industry as a whole, and more a select few licensees. But continued clear standard operating procedures and data governance protocols will help with rule evaluations like this one in the future. So thank you for having me here. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I also have Captain Tinnerstedt and Rules Coordinator Daniel Jacobs here to help answer any questions that I might not be able to.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions for Nick or any of the rest of the team presenting from board members? I can't see board members, so you have to raise your hand if you have a question.
None here.
Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Nick.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, well, we will now move into our next agenda item, which is a licensing and regulations division update. A couple comments before we do that. I want to go back to the meeting structure just quickly and just remind this group that we do reserve the right to make changes to the agenda. We're trying this and we believe it'll be really helpful and successful, but we will evaluate this and see if we want to continue with this model or if we'll change to something else. I say that because Becky and her team have volunteered to be first and to show you how it should be done. So if you are the leader of a division within the LCB, be looking toward this team because this is exactly what we're hoping these meetings will look like. The other thing that I'm excited about is it gives us an opportunity. Like I meet with Becky regularly and I hear from Becky regularly. I don't always get the opportunity to hear from the rest of Becky's team. And I do hear from Becky about you. I see you in board meetings, etc. But to have you come to this meeting and have direct access to the rest of the board, I think will be beneficial to all of us. And so thank you for agreeing to do this. And we look forward to hearing from you today. So with that, Becky, I'll turn it over to you and let you introduce the team and how you want to do this. Oh, yes, Board Member Holmes, I see you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, just wanted to follow up. Did you say you cannot see me?
I can see you now. I couldn't see.
Oh, oh.
There's multiple screen. There's enough people where it's kind of, anyway, yes, I can see
Got
you now.
No worries.
All right, thank you. Okay, so.
Let me start.
Yep, start the PowerPoint. So good afternoon, Chair Vollendroff and board members Garrett and Holmes. I hope everybody had a nice holiday and Happy New Year's. I just want to start first with introducing my team. And I could let them introduce themselves, but thank you.
Good afternoon, Caitlin Bomba. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations and Licensing. I'm happy to be here.
Good afternoon, Nicola Reed, Deputy Director of Administration in the Licensing Division. Thank you for having us.
Good afternoon, Aaron Washington, Program Manager with the Social Equity Program.
Misty Jones, Liquor Licensing Manager.
Good afternoon, Linda Thompson, Cannabis Manager.
Thanks for having us, Beth Lehman, Customer Service Manager.
Everybody, I'm Sarah Davis. I'm the Compliance and Adjudications Manager.
And I'm Desiree Monroy. I get to work with the Policy and Education team and licensing.
Welcome.
She's a manager. So this is my favorite time of the year is January. That it gives us a time to the leadership team and myself a time to just reflect on all the accomplishments in licensing. And I will tell you that it was surprising to me, even though I hear about everything that my staff and these folks do, just to get to hear it again and all the little moments and all the time that they spent in helping one another out. It was wonderful. It's a great team. That we had a lot of accomplishments in licensing this year. When it says that we had a pivotal year, that is definitely true. We had a pivotal year in licensing. That we laughed a lot. I will say that licensing has a good time together. That it's important to have fun in order to really get the work done, and we do a lot of that. That we cried this year. That we had a loss of a peer. That someone who was meant a lot to us. He wasn't just a colleague, but he was a friend, and he was just a very great person. James passed of cancer this past year, and it really devastated a lot of our staff in a time that we were extremely busy in our division. And then we thrived. I will say that we thrive with leads, that our team stepped up and did an amazing job with this new system. I'm going to turn that over to Nicola.
So the first quarter was business as usual. Just kidding. We all know a session that's really not such a thing. We had 6 bills that impacted licensing directly. We also had some agency legislation clarifying the mandatory alcohol server training. A big thank you to Brandon Giddens and Desiree Monroy. They were instrumental in assisting that and getting passed. Then we had that little bill known as 1515.
That little thing.
A little bill that we also refer to as the FIFA bill. The bill passed, a new program was built, a team put together, and all in the blink of an eye. And yet none of the team have left yet. So we're off to a good start. Let's just say a great deal of work went into the first quarter, and that's without me even addressing the elephant in the room.
So she says elephant in the room, she's talking about. Next slide, please. So of course, you know, that we launched, and I keep saying it, we launched a new system, our new lead system. That when we were young, you know, that we liked to skate. Everybody went to skate. And you were either one of those folks that had, you skated a couple skate, or you did the race. I was neither one of those folks. And so I was more of the all skate. And that's what it's been for our division with leads. It's been an all skate. It is holding hands. It's everybody moving forward. We've fallen. We've all gotten up together. We've helped each other out. But I like the analogy of it being an all skate, because we've also all contributed to the lead system. And you'll hear a lot about the contributions that staff have made. And so with that, I'm going to turn that over to Caitlin.
Yep. So we wanted to really remind and recognize our staff on how much each of them contributed to bringing leads to life. There's many ways that our staff have been involved in, for example, with development. Staff stepped up as a subject matter expert. They participated in requirements gathering and workflows. They attended walkthroughs. They helped define business rules and data requirements.
We also had staff participation in testing. So some took part in UAT testing, some partake in real world scenarios of different situations that would occur in licensing. They logged defects and enhancement requests so we could have clear documentation for future steps, and also verified fixes and confirmed readiness to go live. In addition, a big effort went out to the training. Whether staff attended hands-on training or system demonstrations, completed role-based training modules and practice exercises, or served as a super user or a peer-to-peer trainer within their team. They provided feedback to improve the training materials and user guides so we could all move forward with a better system.
And it certainly didn't stop with what shows up on the slide. It was the peers they helped, the customers they helped walk through the process, and the behind the scenes data cleanup to make everything run a little bit smoother. And for example, months into going live, we had thousands of records that needed to be cleaned up, whether this was fee issues, account issues, duplicates, payments. We'd like to recognize Catherine D. Perez, David Johnson, Brian Smith, Jody Murphy, Marcy Wilsey, and Jasmine Pimpton. These staff step up onto their existing jobs without even asking most of the time. They just see that something needs to be done and they do it. We know that no major system launch is perfect. We have areas to improve and changes that we know we need to make. We expect that. We transitioned from a very archaic system, but it's important for us to celebrate just how far we've come and really how much we've learned. We recognize and appreciate the countless hours from our IT department and other divisions that we've worked closely with this transition. That's our finance division, that's our enforcement and education division. We're excited to keep building this momentum by expanding our training, standardizing our processes. We've accomplished so much together, and really the best part is that we're just getting started. Next slide, please.
So with that, I get asked from my staff and from board members, like, what do you expect to happen in 2026? And what's the vision for the licensing division? And it is one team, one system, one experience. That our vision is to build a team that's unified, and I think we're already doing that, right? I think that we have a pretty unified, and we collaborate not just with our teams, but with other divisions as well. We want to empower our staff. I want to build a human-centered workplace. I talk a lot about that. You'll hear a lot about that today as well. And I want staff to thrive. I want our system to be seamless. We're still working on the seamless system. I think we'll be at it for this year, but hopefully at the end of the year, we can say that we have a seamless system that works well. And then our customers truly feel valued. That you'll hear a lot about how we value our customers, how we value our staff, but I really want this year to be about valuing our customer. We're committed to building a culture of collaboration, and you'll hear about that, as I mentioned, that continuous learning, it's not just one and done for us. We're learning all the time, not just about each other, but also about the people that we serve. And then we want to be innovative. We want to make sure that we're leading with empathy and understanding, and we want to strengthen. I always think that if we're a strong division, we're a strong agency, it just fuels that customer satisfaction. So you'll hear all about that. And so how do we do that?
So one of the ways is system mastery. And how we do that is by providing training for all staff, providing an outlet for questions and additional resources that may be needed. Where we have silos, we work to break them down. At least we can understand what everyone is going through and to better understand one another's work and align our goals across the teams. When we say it's an all skate, it doesn't mean that we don't all fall, but there should always be someone there to pick you up, unless you're one of my friends, but I digress. So our goal is to move forward, and certainly when doing that, prioritizing the well-being and mental health of all of our staff and providing the support needed to help everyone be successful within the division.
One of our most important priorities, as Becky shared, is the customer experience. We have focused and will continue to focus on ensuring positive interactions whenever customers engage with us. This commitment's reflected in our responsiveness, our attention to education and outreach and speaking requests, the accuracy of the information that we provide, and the timeliness of issuing licenses and permits. In our annual report this last year, we reported that when surveying our customers how satisfied they were, nearly over 95% were either extremely satisfied or satisfied with the service that they provide. So you'll have an opportunity to learn more about that as our managers share. Next slide, please. A human-centered approach is the core of our division. By celebrating one another and recognizing both small and large accomplishments, we foster a culture of appreciation and engagement. I could literally take over this whole presentation and go on and on about how important this is to us, but I think I should just probably highlight a couple things. This is whether that is including staff in decisions, creating growth and development opportunities, and ensuring staff are part of the changes that we make, whether those changes are to our system, our business processes, and our policies and procedures. And just to highlight one today, one of my favorites is our Division Wellness Committee, which we have representation from each unit in this committee. Through this structure, we're able to more closely identify needs and promote well-being and promote both personal and professional success. One of my favorite things that the Wellness Committee does is our monthly peer-to-peer awards that are recognized during our division meeting. It really gives an opportunity to strengthen teamwork and collaboration and encouraging employees to acknowledge and celebrate one another. If you haven't attended one of our division meetings or visited the 4th floor, I highly recommend it if you're needing some positive energy, because you can definitely feel it in the meetings and on the 4th floor.
We also do that by prioritizing flexibility. It's important for us to be flexible with our staff and flexible with our customers as well. That it's not, that it's not always a no, but if we could figure out how to help our customers and say that yes, how we can get them to yes or get us to yes, we want to be able to do that. That we also really invest in our people. And so that's by asking staff to participate in meetings they might not always have been invited to in the past. It's also about them stepping out of their role. And you'll hear about how these staff stepped out of their role this past year in 2025. And then really about mentoring. Mentoring is so important as some of us become older. And then, of course, just recognizing the small things that folks do. You'd be amazed at how much it means to our staff for us to say thank you. Just great job, send a Teams message. It takes no time at all, but it goes a long ways. That, Brandon and Warren, these are folks that we don't talk a lot about, but I tell you what, these folks do so much in our division that's behind the scenes. I also never say a big thanks to Nicola and Caitlin. Without them, I would be dead in the water. So all of our staff do such an amazing job. And so I'm excited for you to hear what they do. So Desiree, you want to kick us off?
Sure, happy to. Next slide. And we can just kind of blow through this one. So yes, I am the policy and education manager. Thank you for clarifying. And so Gretchen, thank you. We can go to the next one when I know there's a pause, so I'll be careful. So it was a big year for policy and education this year. So in 2025, the team grew with the addition of the new project team to implement.
We have you move in a little bit.
On the shot.
Yeah, you're not in the shots.
I'm out of shot.
Is she in there?
Squeeze in, everybody.
He's on
Come
it.
in. Podium's available.
Oh, yeah, yes, thank you, Gretchen. If you,
Yeah.
there you go.
We have that. I love a good podium. Let's do it.
Now she's setting the
Welcome to my
standard
lecture.
here, everybody.
Really regret this, yeah. All right, so as I was saying, in 2025, we were chosen, my team was chosen to implement second substitute, House Bill 1515, which expanded alcohol service and included provisions for the FIFA fan zones, which are coming June and July of 2027. This is a temporary provision that goes through December 31st, 2027. And so in order to support this new program, we did add new members, Bridget, Renee, Linnell, Jamie, and Jeanette promoted into a project position to help support this. I'm especially grateful to have Jeanette on this project team because she can build Microsoft products like no one I've ever seen yet. She's even stumped ITs on occasion. But the real big kudos goes to Kaylin, our mandatory alcohol server training and responsible vendor program manager. She has been leading this new team, and under her direction, she's been busy developing new processes, integrating it into leads. She's been building resources and conducting outreach and just in general, like for instance, just between September and December alone, this team completed over 11 presentations. And they did direct communications to over 380 local governments, trying to just increase information and engagement and getting them interested in this program. Also in 2025, we did say goodbye to our longtime data consultant, Ashley, and we said hello to Jason, who was able to join our team, bringing with him his data analysis skills and curiosity. So he's been a great addition. We can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So you've heard the name Brandon. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Brandon. Under Brandon's purview this past year, the mandatory alcohol server training, which we fondly refer to as MAST, there were three different legislative changes with slightly different timing that prompted curriculum updates by our training partners and providers. He also helped those 22 MAST providers learn how to utilize our new technology platform to upload their issued permits. Now, to give you some context, we have, as of this last week, over 230,000 MAST permits that these 22 providers help get in, make sure that they understand how to ensure that minors don't gain access and that overservice is prevented. So it's a pretty important program for us. Brandon also annihilated countless duplicates that rose in the system because of an overlap for licensees who also need a MAST permit in order to serve at their restaurants and their taverns. So in addition to his work with MAST, Brandon also added 79 new stores to our responsible vendor program. He prioritized our partnership with enforcement and education. He updated materials and he worked really closely with the compliance consultants to gain. Every time that we've asked him to step up, he's led us to new heights. So really proud of his achievements in 2025. I'm going to move on to our training team. So Andrew, Ryan, and Jeanette, while she was on our training team, they worked on, their work was just mind-blowing this last year. Let me just be clear. They did 39 leads training sessions, 21 instructor-led PowerPoints. They created 44 process flow maps, 76 job aids, and revisions as well. They onboarded 12 new hires and 17 internal transfers, all while doing all the leads training and implementation, troubleshooting, and being an ear and a friend to folks that were having some difficulties with the change. The policy and education team really increased their external communications work this past year as well. Marissa helped lead a group of licensing staff who worked with the agency's communication team to update over 40 external web pages. She was also instrumental in the development of 15 portal user guides and was instrumental in the portal registration redesign project. So extra kudos to Marissa, though, goes to her unique skill of being able to translate IT speak into a language that business understands. It is a real, jewel when we're going through a big IT conversion. So I will just say that she was also extremely helpful in helping all of us understand all things leads, all the updates that happen regularly, and making sure to provide huddle updates and training opportunities when change requests were fulfilled. I'll also add that she was instrumental in moving our division away from using SurveyMonkey in order to save the agency money, which is very important in our current economic atmosphere. So we always hear other duties as assigned for state employees, and this is no different for my team. In fact, I think they enjoy other duties as defined. So I do want to give a big shout out to Ryan, Andrew, and Doug, who completed over 58 liquor files and also supported data cleanup while managing their own workload. So this was over and above. So I would say just to give an extra nod to Doug while carrying his liquor files, he also spearheaded 2 new division procedures and updated 4 different division policies and procedures. And I also want to give some kudos to Jamie and Renee for their support of the social equity team, which Erin will tell you more about their work, but they help support sending timely letters, indexing documents, and making sure that, all those I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And I think you'll hear more about the amazing work that Linnell and Renee help support for the customer service team. They put their superstar efforts forward to help reconcile over 800 entries in the customer service exception queue. Believe it or not, I couldn't highlight all the accomplishments because they're substantial and varied, but this team, they're resilient, they're intelligent, they offer solutions, and a hand when you need one. It is an absolute pleasure to work with this team. They're amazing and really live up to the licensing motto of creating together better together. Creating better together. Again, notes. Thank you. I'll hand it over to Misty.
Thank you.
Hello, so Misty Jones, Liquor Licensing Manager. All right, so our new database completely changed the way that we process applications. It was a big transition, although we've come a long way. So I want to take a minute to share about what it looked like when we started versus where we are today. So at Go Live, we had required every qualifying person on an application to use the online portal to submit documents, something we had never done before. We spent a lot of time helping our applicants navigate the portal, all while adapting to the system ourselves. So with a full caseload, each specialist had over 100 individuals that they were working with at any given time. In an attempt to keep caseloads at a manageable level, we capped them at 40. However, what this did is it created a backlog of applications that were waiting to be assigned, some as many as up to a few weeks. We quickly realized that requiring everybody to use the portal at this time just was challenging. So we only required the main contact on an application to use the portal, while every other qualifying individual could use our old forms through email. We also gained access to view the applicant side of the portal so we could better help them better. We realized that caseloads of 40 weren't very manageable, so we lowered them to 30, and all while our backlog of applications continued to increase. We asked for help, and we got help from 9 other staff in different units who volunteered to help process applications. We gladly welcomed Jeremy, a supervisor from our customer service department, and created a 4th team. We got permission to hire additional staff and replace staff that had left. Our staff then helped train and mentor 5 new specialists, all while managing their existing caseloads. And as we continue to adapt and as updates are made to the system, we are in a much better place. So we stopped assigning files outside of the unit in July. We are now fully staffed. We are maintaining caseloads of around 30 and we have no more backlog. So this is a huge accomplishment earned by the entire team. So next I want to take some time and recognize some of the individual efforts from our team members. All of the work that they did above and beyond their workloads to make things better for everybody around them. Kawa spent weeks doing user acceptance testing before go live to work out some of the bugs before the system rolled out. To all of those who volunteered to help mentor our helpers that were helping from other units. Big shout out to Emily, Katie, Zoila, Richard, Jonathan, Jody, and Jim. To all of those who met with Accenture to walk them through our pain points more than once. Michael, Katie, Marcy, Kawa, and Jonathan. And to our subject matter experts who did user acceptance testing on some of our change requests, again, more than once. Big shout out to Katie and Marcy. To Jim, who is Liquor's representative on the Wellness Committee, and to Marissa, who volunteered to join him this year. To Richard, who is our division's representative for the Combined Fund Drive, which raises money for charity. And to those who volunteered to learn and process non-retail applications, which can be a little challenging to learn. Big shout out to Tiburcio, Richard, Charlene, Aubrey, Jim, and Amanda, and to everyone who helped train and mentor our new specialists, because everybody had work. And now to the ones that hold everything together, which is our supervisors. We have 4 of them, Jeremy, Jasmine, Blake, and Che. Each one of them has a different expertise, which is what makes them what I call the super team. They quickly became experts in the lead system. They learned how to create and modify dashboards to help our staff prioritize our work. They learned how to build reports to pull data. When I need data, I consult with Jasmine. They became troubleshooting experts. My most common question this year was, have you asked Blake? Because he can probably They created a crash course on liquor licensing for the volunteers that helped process applications. Che did all of our external presentations, like for the Washington Wine Institute and the Greater Seattle Korean Association. They participated on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. They led consensus meetings with our enforcement and education officers. They became subject matter experts for system changes, like all of Jeremy's work on what licensing privileges can go together. They also all helped with hiring and training of new staff, and this is what makes Liquor such a great team.
Nice. Next slide.
Everybody, I'm Sarah Davis. I'm the compliance and adjudications manager for the licensing division. And I supervise 3 different programs, the sports and entertainment facilities, product packaging and labeling, and the adjudications program. When I started creating this presentation, I had to go through maybe 10 versions to whittle it down to the timer allotted, because I could have spent the whole hour talking about the accomplishments that my team all worked on over 2025. Obviously, the biggest highlight was the launch of Leads, and we were excited and nervous, but quickly learned that Leads didn't really work for our team yet. And so they had to work on figuring out workarounds for the program. Some of them were quite time consuming, but they persevered. and impressed me more than I could have imagined. And I'd like to spend this presentation time highlighting some of the professional accomplishments of this team. Yeah, thank you. First, let's talk about the sports entertainment facilities program led by Joe. He was in the spotlight a lot this year. He worked hard on launching 2 proposed pilot projects, one for Washington State University, as well as one for Lumenfield T-Mobile Park and Climate Pledge. Joe grew a lot in his leadership skills over the last year through facilitating our quarterly industry meetings, presenting to the board, and leading some high conflict meetings. And he also backs me up when I'm out. Also during the leads backlog, Joe stepped forward and said, hey, give me some liquor cases, I'll work on them. And he was assigned 15 applications on top of all that work and had to learn how to do that in the beginning. So great work this year, Joe. Next, I have the packaging and labeling. You can change it to the next slide. It's those pictures like avatar of my team, but it's more fun than that picture, maybe. Here we go. I have a small and mighty product and packaging team. I have Susan and Amy. I describe them as like that scene in Mary Poppins when she like has the bag out and then she keeps like pulling stuff out of the bag and nobody knows like how they're doing that. Like, when I was a little girl and watched that movie, I was like, how did that happen? But I think product packaging and labeling is a lot that way with the work that they do and everything they accomplished last year. Like on top of all of their work, which is regular work, they oversee alcohol labels and cannabis labels. They received about a little over 9,000 liquor labels last year and a little under 1,200 cannabis-infused edible submissions, and then a lot of work on top of that. Susan has been in the position for 8 years now. She's known nationally and is frequently sought out from others in the industry to glean from her knowledge and experience, as well as inside the state in different agencies such as the Department of Health and Agriculture. In 2025, Susan maintained her regular duties and she assisted the Director's Office of Trainings for Public Health. She was consulted in rulemaking and she was within our agency, but also consulted in rulemaking with the Department of Health. She assisted with some bill analysis on top of that this last year. She was also assigned and processed 49 certificates of approval with the liquor unit backlog. She has a lot to be proud of over the last year. Next, we have Amy, and Amy is the one in the middle, I think. She completed her first year as a program specialist in the unit, and she grew a lot in her competency in the program. It's hard to join a program when one person has been doing the work autonomously for many years, and she took it on and did a great job over the last year. She comes from cannabis, and she brings an eagle eye to the program. She works closely with the adjudications team to assist them in statement of intent to deny or revoke labels and presented questionable labels to our work group. Amy was also assigned 14 liquor cases during the backlog, and she worked hard on them to process and always displayed excellent customer service along the way. Among Amy's accomplishments as well, she also received 2 peer-to-peer awards in licensing for her help of others in the division, willingness to always answer questions and help out, as well as her positive attitude. Finally, I oversee the adjudications program within the licensing division, and which is a team of Tamara and Warren. These worker bees worked on 95 statement of intents. Those are either to withdraw, revoke, discontinue, deny, and 56 of those were for the social equity program and applicants that appealed the decisions. Tamara got all of those social equity appeals out by the end of 2025, which is a huge accomplishment. And Warren gathered the exhibits and documents to support the program. This doubled their work they saw. When LEADS was implemented the last year to help, and help was needed with the backlog, Warren volunteered to take on a full caseload of liquor cases. He learned to work quickly, and then he went on to assist my team with their files themselves. And he also worked on some of his regular duties on top of all that. Tamara took over some of Warren's responsibilities over that time and really highlighted the teamwork this team is committed to every day in their work. Also this year, with finance better staff, we saw an influx of brief adjudicated proceeding requests come over, and Warren took the lead and organized quarterly meetings with the team to keep communication and work flow processing well. Through all the influx of this work the adjudications team saw this year, the board continued to uphold licensing decisions on actions at 100% for 2025. Warren and Tamara were both recognized by their peers in 2025 as well, with Tamara receiving 2 peer-to-peer awards for her willingness to go the extra mile with staff that needed her wisdom, and Warren receiving 1 for always stepping up to the plate to assist with the division. One goal I have for our team for 2026 is more cross-training. Many of my staff's work is pretty autonomous, so learning about each other's work and not having one point of failure is a really important value that our team has for 2026, and I think will make our program stronger as well. Well, thank you, everybody. And I don't remember who's next.
Thanks, Sarah.
Aaron.
Take the podium. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year and a good Wednesday to everyone. On behalf of the social equity team, which consists of Josephine, Sarah, and myself, team 3, in the interest of the social equity program, I bring to you highlights primarily in 3 phases and a few honorable mentions for 2025. First phase of highlights, we started January 2025 securing a contract with Alta Point Consulting, which I'll refer to as APC. We worked closely with APC to develop the reviewer platform and automated experience, incorporating the rules of the social equity program in the questionnaire format by which the third party would determine eligibility. By reaching out to members of the licensing division, we were able to test and fine-tune the platform to improve the experience for the second iteration of the program. We are particularly esteemed by introducing the first for the agency, in fact, one of our favorites. As part of the social equity team's strategic plan, we created content for instructing the public about the what, why, how for eligibility of the program. And not to mention, we applied stellar graphics and added our voices to personalize and enhance the delivery of information to the public in 6 well-viewed educational videos. The second phase of our highlights, in May of 2025, as part of our outreach to the public about the registration window, we not only sent notification through govdelivery.com by teaming with the communications team at LCB, we directly reached out to Washington State Commissions on African American Affairs, the Washington State Commissions on Hispanic Affairs, the Office of Equity, the Office of Minority and Women's Business Enterprises, as well as the Association of Washington Cities, to which we've maintained a cadence to meet bi-monthly basis to continue discussions for encouraging more areas in Washington State to allow cannabis businesses. Our efforts garnered 880 registrations, resulting in 726 registrants, nearly double the participants since the first round. And circling back to our work with APC and bringing us to the third phase of our highlights, the SE team led coordination of the cannabis team and the education training team that Desiree spoke to notify the 726 registrants of their eligibility status. Did so within 4 days. After APC's preliminary and final scoring with results from the double-blind lottery, the SE team coordinated with APC and the LCB's IT team to receive a data transfer of results into the new leads system. This came with its issues, yet we were very steadfast to identify the snags, be quick to respond, and store the records. The SE team reached out for assistance from the education team for the creation of the social equity campus dashboard, track results in the management system. For a quick glance, very happy about that. Start tracking information there. You go to the second slide, please. We don't want to forget also the additional highlights of the SE team. We developed the mobility procedure for first round social equity applicants under House Bill 2870. Basically, if a location has not been secured, an entity can relocate outside of their initial jurisdiction, provided the entity's score exceeds the lowest score in the area of interest. The SE team also shared the task of creating a procedure along with the cannabis team for the transfer and assumption of cannabis businesses that were established under the social equity program. After 1 year of operation, of course, a retail licensee under social equity has the option to sell the business to another social equity eligible partner. So we're very excited about that. And mind you, we have some folks who may be coming forward. Some more honorable mentions by teaming with the Department of Revenue and their business licensing services. We implemented the removal of the fee requirement before interested parties of the social equity program were evaluated for eligibility. Of course, the fees would follow the selected registrant of the social equity program upon starting the licensing application process. And if you do the math, looking at 726 registrants, $250 for each person, that saved the public almost over $180,000. So very, very excited about that. And so far under 58, we have 20 of 69 who have started the licensing process. The SE team also implemented a change by holding cases under the 5080 applicants, if you will, who are coming from BLS until the location is secured. This helps the cannabis unit, their data, and keeping it clean from those pending cases. And it allows the social equity team to track location activity, which is a primary focus for 2026. And while the social equity team is enduring its growing pains, our team has pride in the efforts to collaborate and coordinate implementation of the second iteration of the program. It takes a village to raise a child. And we're very much.
Thank you.
Hello, again, Linda Thompson, Cannabis Manager. Thank you again for having us. So today I get the opportunity to talk about some of the great work and accomplishments of the cannabis team this past year. So this year was defined by change and growth. And at the center of it all was leads, which many of us got to know very well, and some are still getting to know just a little bit better. So before we go live, the team rolled up their sleeves, they brainstormed ideas, built resources, tested processes, and asked all the questions, including the ones that start with, what happens if, and what happened to? A huge driver of that success was our lead subject matter experts. Rebecca, Jamie, Jody, Justin, David, and Linda Brock each played a critical role. They sat in meetings, tested functionality, flagged issues, submitted bug requests, and made sure our processes were reflected in the system. And learning leads wasn't enough. The team turned that knowledge into tools that made work easier. We developed checklists, guides, standardized notes, instruction pages, and automated templates, all focused on consistency, clarity, and efficiency. Special thank you to Alex, Jody, Jamie, Rebecca, Linda Brock, David, and Brian Smith for automating the report of application, saving time and more than a few collective headaches. We also experienced team growth this year. While we say goodbye to Alan and Lauren, we welcome 5 new team members: David, Alex, Austin, Andrea, and Jody. Their fresh perspectives and skill sets are already reflected in the tools, trainings, and process improvements we've implemented. We also took a closer look at our processes and made improvements, including updating the cannabis alteration review process. Applications now get a supervisor review up front, ensuring the right work goes to the right team faster and more efficient. And beyond our internal work, we saw progress externally. After more than a decade, Linwood lifted its cannabis ban, yes, opening the door for retail licenses and opportunities for social equity applicants. That's a meaningful win. We've continued outreach efforts alongside the social equity team, most recently meeting with King County and the city of Fairway, and that work continues. So one thing I'm especially proud of the team this year is how connected the team stayed throughout the constant change. As we transitioned to leads, staying aligned and supporting one another became essential. One of the most impactful ways we did that was through our weekly in-person leads check-ins. Since go live, we've held 42 of these meetings. They became a consistent space to, this became a consistent space to troubleshoot issues, share knowledge, and remind ourselves that we are all learning together. That collaboration didn't just improve efficiency, it made a real difference for morale during a challenging transition. So training was another major focus. We partnered with Marissa and the training team to create practical, user-friendly resources, including trainings for retail title certificates and final inspections, and a dedicated leads tab in the cannabis licensing OneNote. Jody also created short training videos focused on account cleanup and fees, helping turn confusion into clarity and ensuring consistency across the team. The team also stepped up well beyond their core duties. Jody supported liquor processing to help reduce backlog, assisted customer service with exception renewals, tackled duplicate records, and remained deeply involved in the leads transition, working directly with leadership throughout. At the same time, David helped strengthen cross-team collaboration by co-leading a leads training with Ryan Navrat for the compliance consultants, making it easier for enforcement to find reported applications and other key documents before doing a final inspection, and opening the door to better communication all around. Because the team stayed connected, collaborative, and supportive of one another, they didn't just adapt, they delivered. Over the past year, the team processed over 500 applications and issued 4 social equity licenses, all while learning a brand new system, staying within timeframes, and continuing to provide strong customer service. And that collaboration extended across the agency, including ongoing work with the social equity team, enforcement, Department of Revenue, training, and communications. Next slide. That collaboration didn't stop with the day-to-day work. Team members stepped into leadership roles that supported the success of the entire agency. From sitting on interview panels, participating in rulemaking, training, UAT testing, wellness efforts, reviewing our OneNote and account cleanup, as you can see all the names listed on the slide. So I'll close with this. So despite the challenges that come with implementing a new system, the cannabis team stayed collaborative, solution-focused, and supportive of one another, even when things were challenging. Their professionalism, leadership, and dedication made this year a success, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that they do every day. So kudos to everyone on the cannabis team for truly outstanding work.
I'm going to stay right here. Look at all your faces. I want to see all your faces. So customer service, most of you already know me, Beth Lehman. Been here for about 22 years, so I've done my time here. You can go to the next one. Thank you. All right, so I wanted to take this time to celebrate our customer service team for this past year. And when I talk about the customer service team, you're not going to hear me say individual names because I mean my team in general. We're very cross-trained. We do a lot of the same work. So when I give kudos to the team, I mean all of them. I really do. So during a major system upgrade, while managing high volumes change and the occasional hiccup, they showed incredible resilience, resourcefulness, and dedication. They learned a new process and procedures on the fly. They supported one another and continued to provide steady professional service to our licensees and the public. Their positive attitude and commitment played a huge role in getting us through the transition and moving us forward successfully. We realized right off in customer service and in licensing as a whole that digital transformation just isn't a technology upgrade. It directly improves service delivery and speed. This digital transformation directly advances our goals of efficient and effective and fair licensing and permitting. Our digital transformation efforts are already producing measurable benefits for both our staff and customers. We've reduced manual work and bottlenecks, allowing our staff to focus on higher value tasks. These improvements directly support faster decision-making and more consistent outcomes. Each of these outcomes reinforces the other. Speed, accuracy, and customer experience improve together. We now have systems that are easier to navigate and more intuitive for both staff and our external users. We really improved in the special occasion process in the licensing of that. The automation and the streamline of the workflow significantly reduced our processing times by 8 to 9 days. So that was a huge thing for us. Applicants received decisions faster, improved customer satisfaction immensely, and staff spent less time on repetitive tasks and more time on compliance and support. Along with that came expedited permit issuance, and we reduced the permit issuance by about 3 or 4 days as well. Having the end-to-end digital processing shortens the turnaround times for us, and it also means fewer handoffs and fewer errors in rework. And then the biggest thing we feel, at least in customer service for our customers this past year, has been the instant issuance for our stakeholders. Eligible clients can receive approvals in real time. This sets clear expectations and reduces follow-up inquiries. Instant issuance is a major step towards modern customer-centric service. This creates a more predictable and transparent permitting process. Next slide. So I was proud of customer service this past year at Cutover. Our team stepped up during a period of high demand and uncertainty. We quickly realized that the space was about stabilizing operations while continuing to improve. One of those improvements was navigation. Despite initial training curves, staff's consensus indicates that navigation and searching are in fact significantly easier than they were in the I-Series, which is great for us because we do a lot of that searching. We automated back-end processes. We're using new automatic features that reduce the amount of information that we have to type in by hand, which is huge for us when working. Implemented efficient auto-indexing into Laserfish is providing convenient data management that staff appreciates. And then future-ready platform. The lead system gives our team a strong platform to handle more work and improve how we do things in the future and how we improve things ourselves in the system. Next slide. So handling the post-launch volume, we've been right at Cutover. We experienced a surge in activity immediately following. Part of that was phone calls from people needing help with the new platform or just wanting to tell us they hated change. Staff was amazing about continuing to answer calls with a smile on their face. We were answering about 500 more calls a month than during normal times. Staff adapted quickly while maintaining service levels. Calls are back down to normal, thankfully, as stakeholders become more comfortable in our system. As Caitlin already mentioned about the exception queue, I want to talk a little bit more about that because that kind of sat with customer service. That was a queue. If you were part of the process or knowing this, you probably don't know this. We had a queue in customer service that caught everything that the system didn't know what to do with at go live. So this queue had over 4,000 cases that we had to go through one by one manually and make sure, was it a renewal? Was it an application that didn't go through? Why did we get this? So the customer service team, with help from folks from 1515, liquor, cannabis, we were able to get that down to 0. It took us about 4 or 5 months to get it all the way down to 0. And now it's an everyday thing. We just work it, we clean it out, and it's a great catch-all, but in the beginning, not so much. And this success really reflects a true superhero team mindset for customer service. I believe the transformation sets a strong foundation for future improvements. Our focus going forward is continuous improvement, stability, and service excellence. And then I'd like to finish by saying thanks for the collaboration that we continue to have this year that we did last year with folks in and out of our unit. We meet regularly, of course, and collaborate with liquor, cannabis, training, 1515, adjudications, social equity. And we meet on the regular with HR, with finance. Customer service has a great monthly meeting with finance that we work some stuff out. We work with enforcement on a regular basis. And Brian helped me with the phones this year. Thank you. But that main line, and we still got work to do there. So we'll talk some more on that.
Okay.
But I'd like to thank, lastly, Terry Wheeler, Brian Smith. They're the customer service supervisors. I could not have made it through the transition back from SMP to customer service. Without them, they've been invaluable and they've done a great job with the team. Thank you.
So that's it of our presentation. I know that was a lot to take in. I will just say that this is a fantastic team. You heard a lot about collaboration and that's what it's all about, no matter if we are doing it with our team or with the rest of the organization. We couldn't do it without everybody. So do you have any questions? Probably not. We'll probably overlap.
Thank you. Thank you all. So any other board member Garrett, I see your hand and go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it started out with, I was gonna tell Will, his license division is just having too much fun, that something is wrong, because it was all fun, but then you went into all of the work. But to just acknowledge, having been with the agency since 2016, it's been really remarkable to see the growth and all of the things like what you were presenting today. I've over 10 years, I've watched that and watched the growth. So I think you guys are great. I still think you have too much fun, but this was great to see today.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you. Board member Holmes, anything?
Just impressive presentation. Thank you all for all your hard work.
Great, thank you. Well, I'll just close with a couple of comments. One, the human-centered culture of the team comes out loud and clear. Comes out in every interaction that I have with you guys, and it came out in your presentation today. So thank you, Becky, for your leadership in how you make sure that that's really paramount to your group. The other thing is, at the end of the year, as Becky mentioned, when I'm meeting with directors, including Will, Becky, and anybody else, I am asking, tell me about 2025. Tell me what your accomplishments were. Tell me what your challenges were. What do you hope to expect in complete in 2026, et cetera. And so that's kind of where this presentation came from. Becky invited me to your meeting in January. I wasn't able to make that meeting. And in some ways, the only thing I missed out was some of the face-to-face to all those many, many names that you mentioned. And I do regret that. But I'm also grateful that the rest of the board got to hear directly from all of you and your accomplishments. So really incredible work. The other thing I'll share is that in my career, I've been I was an assessment counselor. And what that meant was when somebody, whether a family member or the judicial system, questioned whether somebody had an alcohol or drug problem or a mental illness, my job was to meet with them and do an assessment essentially to determine and then make a diagnosis. And so I use that skill a lot still in my work, meaning that I go around all the time. And so part of that role is doing what I call collateral contact. It's one thing to meet with the person, but what about who else they have contact with? So I routinely, when I'm meeting with Will, ask him how things are going in licensing. Tell me about the LEADS project. And then I do the same thing when I'm meeting with others and, within the whole agency. And I do that with Becky as well. And so and it all lines up. And sometimes when there's something not lining up, that's when I'm like, my collateral contacts are saying different things. And it's nice to have you all come here and hear all the way from Will to Tony and elsewhere throughout the agency, the great work. Now, I did hear maybe less about some of the challenges. I'm sure there's more challenges out there than we heard about today, but I feel really confident in your team's ability to work through those. And on one-on-ones when we're meeting, Becky routinely tells me, you guys made it sound really easy, frankly, in a lot of ways. And I know it wasn't. I know it's not. And so just, again, thank you for the incredible work. And thank you again for being the first group to be willing to come and talk to us in this way. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so we will have an opportunity for any additional team updates. So this is an opportunity for the rest of the team, although not formally, we're not going to go through every person here. It is an opportunity to please highlight anything that you feel like the board needs to know about, anything you'd like us to hear, and board members for you also to ask any questions of any particular area of the LCB. So just board members reminding you that we do have HR now representative, we do have finance representative, and in the future we'll have IT also here. So we've got additional team members for you to interface with. So any updates from anybody else this afternoon? Okay, I hope there's no surprises between now and our next meeting. All right.
Well, I don't know. We're only 3 days into the session, so I can't promise that.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay. Any board member comments or questions before we close the meeting today? All right, hearing none, we'll adjourn the executive management team meeting for January 14th. Thanks, everyone.
Good.
Have a great day. Thank you again. That was really great.